What became so popular at your school that the teachers had to ban it? There was a game called Get Down, Mr. President, where everyone in an area would put their fingers to their ears like the Secret Service, and the last person to do it would be tackled. It could start at any moment and would end up in a dog pile in the hall. Gel pens. When I was in primary school, there was this weird trend where all the girls would suck on the ends of gel pens so their tongues turned into different colors. They would trade pens with each other in the school bathrooms and sneak away from the teachers and go to hidden parts of the schoolyard so they didn't get caught. It was the closest I can think of comparing to a drug ring, but imagine it with 7-year-old girls. One of my friends was really popular because she was the girl who sucked on the most pens and would get caught in literally every class sucking on a different gel pen. And the teachers would always have to walk her out to the nurse as she'd make herself sick and throw up. They eventually banned them. I tried it once and spat it out immediately because it was nasty and tasted like ink. Duh. I didn't get it then, and I still don't get it now. I'm a teacher. A few years ago we had to ban applause. The kids would randomly start a round of applause and just keep going. It was unnerving. It was disrupting lessons, assemblies. Sometimes they would applause in the dining hall or quarters. Still don't know how this trend started or why. The other thing we had to ban was pilgrimage. They apparently learned the word in religious studies lesson. After that they would, in large groups, walk from one end of the school to the other chanting pilgrimage. And basically knocking over anything or person that stood in their way. In elementary school my class was divided in 2 groups, penguins and rats. We would always go to our group for team assignments, for games, for anything really. Somehow an actual rivalry started to sprout until the whole school was divided in these 2 groups, with first and second years getting into actual fights and stuff. Pretty soon the principal canceled recess for a day and went to each classroom to tell us penguin team and rat team were banned. Others did create some smaller animal named groups after that, but they all dissolved pretty quickly. In Sweden we had this thing called boghog, translate to gay pile. As soon as someone was on the ground lying, everyone threw themselves on, making a pile of PPL. Acorns. My elementary schoolyard had several oak trees on it, and dumbass kids would collect acorns and keep them in their desk. The problem was most of the acorns had worms in them, which then escaped into the classrooms. Camo colors. They somehow banned it school-wide because they were gang colors. Camo gang. Edit. I went to high school in the southeast Columbus, Ohio area. Half wannabe rednecks, quarter wannabe hood, and quarter preppy kids. It was a dumb mix. And for the record, so many people complained the school actually had an assembly over it where they explained their reasoning, and I don't remember exactly what they said, but it had something to do with gangs. I think it was gang mentality or something. I was in middle school from 20,090 to 2011. Bloons Tower Defense was huge. Everyone played it in any room that had a computer. The school had to install special blockers, but people kept getting around them, so they straight up banned Adobe Flash. When I was younger, we played this where you draw a circle on your hand, and other people would try to draw a line inside of it. If someone was able to draw a line in your circle, then you were out. The objective of the game was to be the last one standing. It was small at first, but eventually almost everyone in my grade became involved, and it spiraled out of control. Chaos. Pure fucking chaos. Kids were tackling each other, running away from other students, disrupting lessons, etc. Teachers eventually began to talk to us about how far our game had gone, and started banning it altogether. It was fun while it lasted, boys. Capri Sun's kids were too stupid to figure out how to get the straws in, and teachers got tired of helping everyone. Rulers. Year 10 in HS, for whatever reason someone decided to smack a guy across the head with a ruler. Then everyone went out and bought a ruler. Suddenly everyone was a knight with a sword. Staff kept confiscating them, but rulers are cheap, so kids just went out and bought them by the handful. They ended up banning rulers. At a school, the kids who were taking geometry that year and needed them had to be assigned rulers at the beginning of class and then turn them back in. Hair flips? Circa 2003, long skater hair was very trendy. Said kids were flipping their hair out of their ice face. An 8th grade history teacher went on a vendetta under the reasoning that hair flips pollute the air with hair dirt. Kids started getting detentions. We legit had to have an hour lecture in assembly because our year apparently said sorry too often. I'm English. People bringing in their Game Boy Color and playing during recess. Kids were getting mad they weren't getting turns, and they were afraid of someone stealing games. Non-clear lunchboxes. Someone kept bringing booze into the school and started a whole trend. Rubber bands, kids weren't even using them to shoot at other kids or otherwise misbehave with them. Kids would buy packs of rubber bands, tie the rubber bands together, making like a big rubber band chain. It became a contest to see who could get a chain of rubber bands to stretch the farthest. You couldn't find a pack of rubber bands at a store for probably 20 miles. This was when I lived in a small town, so there wasn't a ton of stores in that 20 miles. Amazon or even public internet access didn't exist yet. One kid got so many rubber bands, they could stretch at the length of the school building. While stupid, I didn't think it was a bad hobby as kids weren't shooting them or shooting stuff with them. It was all about how big of a chain they could make. School rewarded our pointless creativity with a ban on rubber bands at the school. All rubber band chains were confiscated on site. I was in high school when cell phones finally became accessible enough for most people to have one. It took about a week of senior year for them to declare that no phones were allowed anywhere on school property. Putting condoms on everything. Pens, people's heads, arms, bags, shoes, smartboard remotes, baseball bats, clocks, balls, literally anything. The best bit was that the school gave out free condoms. They were fueling the opposition. After a week, there was a ban on condoms being out in public. Anyone seen with a condom that wasn't in their bag or blazer was immediately given a detention. Slap bracelets. Fortune tellers, you know those paper origami ones, those and Pokemon cards and Yu-Gi-Oh cards too. Those little skateboards. Tek-Teks. We used to trade them and cry over it. In 3rd grade, a few kids got obsessed with the words cheese, FedEx, and camel. They said them all the time and then those words got banned for the entire class. I'm 60. When I was in 3rd grade, sunflower seeds were banned. I was told the teachers thought they were drugs. When I was in elementary school in the late 90s, there was a fad where we would collect Absolute vodka and milk mustache ads in binders, similar to Pokemon cards. It was savage. Kids would bring in magazines by the dozens and just strip out the pages with the ads on it. School banned them because it was such a massive distraction. Pogs. Pokemon cards. There was a kid in my high school who made probably around $500 in a month for making duct tape wallets. Administration found out but didn't ban the wallets, just banned conducting business on school grounds. Clackers. They were two small, hard balls on either end of a long string. You made them clack against each other, but the bullies would hit you upside the head with them instead. I'm old. We are only allowed to have €2 money for bus. If a teacher that even cares caught you, the teacher would be allowed to take the money and keep it. This was changed due to making it a crime. One time a teacher took €75 from a student, luckily she was forced to give it back.